Hi, I'm Jan Vermeulen, Editor-at-Large for My Broadband. I'm here with Lux Maharaj, who heads up sales for the African region for Parallel Wireless. Lux, thank you so much for agreeing to see us here at AfricaCom. I hope you've had a good show.
Great, thanks a lot, Jan. It's good to see you again. Yes, it's been a very busy show.
How does Parallel Wireless address that dilemma that mobile network operators, network operators in general, face to modernize their existing infrastructure?
Okay, so if we look at our solution, first of all, we talk about this horizontal software component that includes NEG in there. Now, that entire software suite is based on 3GPP. It is fully interoperable with any other existing vendor's equipment. So we connect it to an existing vendor's network. So there's no need to introduce another 2G component from anyone else. We'll reuse all the existing components that's in there. Furthermore, we are able to do full handover from our network to a foreign third-party vendor's network, meaning it is not a standalone, isolated solution. It is continuous from, in the case of handover, if you're driving through a Parallel Wireless network and then into another vendor's network, you would not even notice the difference. So that's at the software level where we have interoperability. Then if you start looking at the other components relating to the software driving the hardware, the interoperability there is relating to where the hardware is made by third-party vendors, and that's a critical component of Open RAN, is that the software and hardware level is disaggregated, which is unlike the case in the closed systems of today. Now, once the software and hardware is disaggregated, it means that the hardware we can source from any other third-party vendor. It's not necessarily Parallel Wireless, bringing the commodity cost down and deploying a complete solution, enabling the MNO at any time to keep choosing different pieces of hardware as the prices continually change in the market.
Tell me a little bit more about the deal between Parallel Wireless and MTN. What technology are you going to roll out? Where all in Africa are you going to go? And what does the project entail?
So MTN has basically a requirement to roll out about 5,000 sites over the next couple of years across its 21 operations.
All 21, wow.
Yeah. So, and there's a significant portion of it, obviously, that's going to be in Nigeria. Right. So MTN's intent to move into the rural environment is, yes, to connect the unconnected, but also to complete that last bit of the coverage percentage that they are missing out on in virtually every country. Right. Generally tended to be supported by universal service obligations and so forth. But now the operators are taking the effort to do that because of Open RAN. They are realizing that, yes, they can achieve the cost points possible with Open RAN. It's not only a technology that's limited to 2G, it can be deployed 2G, 3G today. It's the same hardware that they can keep there for the next 5 years and remotely just make that 3G and 4G when they eventually switch 2G off. And the thing is, with Parallel Wireless, that hardware is also capable of supporting 5G. So it's just a software upgrade to eventually support 5G.
Okay.
All right.
How will the delivery of Open RAN technology affect urban and rural areas across the continent over the next 5 years?
Okay, so if we look at what MTN is doing over the next couple of years, it means that there's going to be a significant increase of the number of rural sites connecting people that were not connected before. Right, that automatically means that over time you're going to expect that this digital divide is going to start narrowing down. And I think in the next, at least the next 5 years or so, you should see at least a 60% or more improvement in reducing that digital divide. Right, and obviously it means now as soon as you start bringing communication to people, immediately there's mobile money. There is people starting to access Facebook, WhatsApp, selling their farm produce and so forth. Everything starts moving. The economy of those regions that were typically regarded as rural suddenly now get a GDP increase and they start contributing to the economy. Now, it is not only just with MTN. We have been engaging multiple multinationals, mobile operators, where we are engaging with them, for example, in DRC with Vodafone to do deployments in DRC. But if you look at what we've been doing in Africa, it's very similar to what we've been doing in Latin America. Because in Latin America, together with Telefonica, there has been a requirement to provide connectivity to 100 million people unconnected. Right, and now we're into hundreds of base stations that we've been deploying in Latin America to provide that kind of coverage and connectivity. And it's pretty much the same model we're doing in Africa as well. Now, apart from just the mobile operators themselves, you'll see that there's a significant input coming in from satellite providers such as Intelsat, which is a global partner of Parallel Wireless, where they are looking at bundling in our solution as a complete end-to-end solution when delivering their remote satellite services. Then you've got the impact of TIP, the Telecom Infra Project. TIP has been involved in a lot of work in Africa in promoting Open RAN deployments throughout Africa, especially for connecting the unconnected. And if you take someone like Facebook, who has been investing not just on the cables, and there's been a lot of news about the fiber optic cables and so forth in there, but Facebook themselves have been a lot involved in the access side. So overall, if you look at the impact of all these entities in the African environment, I believe that over the next 5 years, it's very likely that the connectivity improvement will certainly start reducing that gap significantly.
What important considerations do businesses have to take into account for the future sustainability of the telecoms industry with regards to Open RAN?
If we take the mobile operator business, I think the time has gone essentially where they used to spend at least 60% of the capex typically with the traditional closed system type vendors. That is changing very, very fast now. Globally, the mobile operators are starting to look towards Open RAN for reducing their capex and opex costs. Right, so the first consideration from a mobile operator that they need to look at is that they need to move away from a hardware-centric solution towards a more software-centric solution. Because as soon as you move towards a software-centric solution, upgrading becomes easier. The innovation is possible in the software in order to drive any third-party hardware. So if you look at like the solutions that we are delivering when it comes to software and hardware, if you look at 3GPP option 6, 7, 8, those kind of options are what we are following in deploying software to drive third-party hardware. So the thing is, mobile operators need to not just on the software side, they got to look at also the hardware side in terms of engaging with vendors where they can move in such a model that allows complete openness in the radio access network. Yeah.
And what are the sort of big picture implications of a more connected Africa?
Well, I think the obvious thing at the end of the day, when we start looking at improving the lives of people, that's a fundamental benefit to them. Their contribution to the overall economy, possible 3% or so GDP growth in just those regions, right? And furthermore, the inclusion of them in the digital society means that everyone now starts moving ahead with the fourth industrial revolution, and where people didn't even have a bank account before, now the mobile phone becomes your bank account. It becomes your means of selling your goods. It becomes your means of e-learning or even health information and so forth. Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much. Take care. All the best.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.